I don't know about you, but I'd grown up being told that astrology was of the devil and that I should avoid it to protect my eternal soul. It wasn't until I got divorced, when everything fell apart, that I realized my well-meaning upbringing hadn't prepared me for the real world at all, and I began to seek for answers outside of my childhood boundaries. Having always loved astronomy, I soon discovered and fell in love with the ancient art of astrology. It healed my soul, it helped me discover and love who I truly am. It took me beyond all the people-pleasing, beyond the societal limitations, and into a world of authenticity and confidence in my future. It changed my life completely. You know, I was a single mother for 14 years, and that started just as I began my immersion into astrology. Through all the ups and downs of raising 3 beautiful children and creating a home for us, astrology was my foundation for understanding life. And it even led me to meet my wonderful soulmate and now husband, David from San Francisco. So if you're ready to walk away from your own limiting beliefs and build a life that you truly love, well, I'm ready to lead the way. And let's see what the stars have in store for us this week. Hello everybody, and welcome to this week's Astro Weather Report. Thank you to everybody who has been hyping my videos on YouTube. I didn't even know that hyping was a thing, but it really made a difference to my recent Neptune direct video. And I'm so grateful to everybody for that. Please, can I also encourage you to double check that you are still subscribed to my channel, because YouTube does AI-induced culls periodically. Crazy, I know, and a lot of people are finding that they thought they were subscribed, but suddenly they're not. So if you could double check, make sure you are, that would be wonderful. Also, if Nancy Monahan is watching, and I hope you are, Nancy, could you please contact me through my website contact form? It would be hugely appreciated. Thanks, Nancy. And you know what for, Nancy, of course. Don't forget, friends, I am now doing live readings, interacting with you personally, as well as pre-recorded readings for those who prefer that way of addressing the astrology of their chart, to get ready for whatever 2026 has in store for you. So head over to the website, book in now. Well, what is happening this week in the astral skies? There's quite a bit happening. We've had a quite fascinating new moon in Sagittarius that was basically a yod-shaped finger of God. I talked extensively about this on my Patreon video. So incredible, and has brought so much change into everybody's life, of course. But then, only 2 days later, we are having, let me grab my little pen, we are having the December solstice. The sun moves into Capricorn up here. So by this stage, 2 days after the new moon, we've got the sun moving into Capricorn. This is very significant in financial markets, significant for the world. But it's also time to celebrate. And this is why we have Christmas at this time of year. Originally, it was called Saturnalia, and it was a celebration of the sun moving as far to the Tropic of Capricorn, as far south as it could go. And after this, it's going to start moving towards the equator again. And of course, we start to get, depending on where we are in the world, longer days or longer nights, depending which hemisphere that we're in. It is a celebration time, and that's what Saturnalia was. Of course, Saturn rules Capricorn, where the sun moves into when it hits 0 degrees of Capricorn at this time of solstice every year. So what are you doing for your solstice celebrations this year? You're having a winter bonfire, perhaps? Or maybe you're having a beachside picnic. Wherever you are in the world, this is a precious time to remember the movement of the sun between these 2 tropic points, Tropic of Capricorn and down here, Tropic of Cancer. Life moves in cycles, my friends. I just make that staccato for you so you remember it. Life ever moves in cycles and seasons. And there is good news that is associated with that concept, that reality actually. And that is that life is ever changing. Growth is ever with us. We are never stuck. Good times will pass. Bad times will pass. Everything changes and cycles come into effect. That's why it's so valuable to know and understand astrology and understand the cycles of time and humanity. So I spoke in last week's video about the cycle of Pluto out of bounds. If you didn't catch that video, it was an amazing video, or rather, not an amazing video, an amazing concept to understand regarding these cycles of time and big cycles of time. Absolutely full of hope and encouragement and inspiration in these dark days. So here we are at another cycle, the cycle of the sun turning direction, changing direction, and heading back towards the equator when it moves across 0 degrees of either Aries or Libra axis, and then heading full on back to Tropic of Cancer as well. But I won't labor that point. The Southern Hemisphere is going to experience its longest day on the 22nd of December, and the Northern Hemisphere will gradually begin, as I said, its move back to the warm days of summer, having had its shortest day. And so we realize at this time that we have so much to be thankful for as we mark off another milestone heading around our beautiful star, the sun, and all that it represents cyclically and energetically for us. Now, let's talk about some other things that are happening, and that is what's occurring this week as we celebrate Christmas, and happy Christmas to everybody who celebrates Christmas. But aside from the general cyclical solstice experience, we have some big things coming up for us in 2026, and that's what I really want to focus on now. The big events of 2026. I talked about one of them last week in the video, Pluto out of bounds, and the dates that it's going to be out of bounds, what to watch for, what to expect, how to handle that energy to the best of your advantage. That's what I discussed in last week's video. And this week we're looking at 2 other components of what 2026 has in store for us. The first thing that I want to talk about is this Saturn and Neptune. They are going to be moving into Gandanta degrees. Neptune is already there. Saturn will join Neptune at Gandanta degrees, the degrees of Pisces and the degrees of Aries that are called Gandanta. Friends, you know, we've been in a state of transitional tension for quite a few years now, but this new energy that's being birthed on the planet has to go through the labor pains before the baby can be held in your arms. Gandanta points, fire and water points, are these transition periods that we go through as a collective in humanity, especially when we have the big outer planets moving across these Gandanta points, and we have 2 of them in 2026 moving across these Gandanta points. So Gandanta points are these transition points between water and fire energy. And what do we get when we mix water and fire? We get steam. They are from Vedic astrology. You won't hear many Western astrologers talking about Gandanta points. So Neptune and Saturn have their sojourn into these points practically all year. Particularly Neptune will be there all year. Saturn can move beyond the Gandanta degrees, of course, but Neptune will be at Gandanta all year, and this is something we need to be aware of. These points are often associated with a lack of boundaries, specifically the boundary from the earthly realm, 3rd dimensional realm, to the spiritual realm. Collectively, it's a time that is extremely favorable for spiritual growth and progress and having profound transformations on a large scale. Now, my friends, what are we seeing in humanity right now? We are seeing people waking up like never before. The truth has been revealed. This is part of the Gandanta cycle of these outer planets across these points. Unfortunately, with most rises in consciousness, which is what we're seeing happen, it often comes as a result of struggle and tension and difficulty and people battling for control. Transformations that impact our collective lives and the people around us, both directly and indirectly, come as a result of struggle and tension. So this is true. You look around us at the moment at everything that's unfolding on the planet, at the wisdom we're all gaining, but at what cost? You know, the upheavals in society. So this is an illuminating boundary crossing time from water to fire, bringing increased wisdom to us personally and individually, as well as collectively on the planet. Especially so because we've got these outer planets here. Neptune, currently at this point, Saturn is not there yet, but it's moving towards it. Neptune currently is bringing us another collective chance to untie knots of karma in our personal lives and in humanity. It will lead humanity as a whole to a major breakthrough in consciousness in 2026. We can see this happening. People are waking up, finally becoming aware of who is pulling the strings and causing trouble everywhere on the planet. Can you see it? I can. Now, untangling karma, and karma is just the law of cause and effect, the repercussions of what has happened before. Untangling karma is difficult, but it's always liberating, my friends. The process can be linked, as I said, with considerable trauma, struggle, and upheaval, and maybe even a dark night of the soul. If, and if you've got personal planets at these degrees, the last 3 degrees of Pisces and the first 3 degrees of Aries, then you might be experiencing this quite profoundly. If you have your sun, your moon, your rising degrees there, particularly so, or your first house lord at any of those degrees, last 3 of Pisces, first 3 of Aries, then you might be experiencing those upheavals more significantly in your life than maybe others who don't have points there. Now, this is a component of why things have been difficult and what to expect as we navigate and move into more consciousness, more awakenedness in 2026. Things are beginning to change. Don't forget, my friends, that through all this, we are being held this time by the minor grand trine between Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. We've got Neptune here, we've got Pluto here, and Uranus here. All the while, all through 2026, that minor grand trine will hold us. These are the divine planets forming this minor grand trine. Angels and higher energies are helping humanity through this transition. So we have so much to be thankful for. And it's exciting too. You know, how we view this, how we experience it depends on our vibration, on our own level of consciousness. And I just encourage you, my friends, to keep your vibration high throughout 2026 as we emerge into a greater consciousness as humanity, and personally keep your vibration in love, follow your heart, create joy wherever you can for yourself and for the people that you care about. It is also a really good year to release habits and behaviors that are keeping you from your highest vibrational self. We've been going through this already in 2025. It's been a 9 numerological year where there is a lot of endings and conclusions and letting go. And next year is a number 1 year, of course, in numerology. And so this is part of the process, this entering into the new cycle, this entering into the new consciousness. But we must keep our vibration high so that we can enter into it with all the blessing that is available to us flowing our way. Pisces Gandanta degrees currently where Neptune is at speak to an end of one cycle of soul growth, and as it moves into Aries represents the beginning of another cycle of soul growth starting afresh. So no surprises that we're seeing the end of an empire start to come crashing down at this point in time. That is going to play out more and more and more as 2026 unfolds and we get Saturn joining Neptune and then moving on. I won't labor the point, but you get the idea. We are at a pivotal point in society, in humanity, in our personal lives that will change everything going forward. Now, the other thing that is happening next year in 2026, and I am going to break all of this down for all signs very soon, so stick with me. We are having the Kaal Sarp yoga form again. Now, this happened in 2025. We had a period when we were feeling very stuck, like things weren't moving forward, like we were spinning our wheels like a little hamster on a treadmill. And I need to let you know this will be happening again in 2026. But if you know about it and you're forewarned and forearmed about it, you can be prepared and you can navigate this energy to really get the benefit out of it. So do take what I'm going to share with you seriously. It can really empower you, or if you ignore it, you might find that you are just in a troubled cycle throughout 2026. Don't mean to be dire there, but it is like that. And if you observe what happened in 2025, same deal. What I really want to look at today, and I will explore this for each sign, is the Vedic astrology yoga known as the Kaal Sarp yoga. And this is going to be activated. Note down these dates on your calendar. This is going to be activated every 2 weeks from the 20th of March, 2026 to the 17th of July, 2026. Every time the moon moves across the hemisphere between the north node and the south node, Rahu Ketu, that is when we will have the Kaal Sarp yoga. Let me explain here on the astro wheel. So between these times, I may just have to set this up. Wonders of editing technology. Let me perhaps start by explaining what a Kaal Sarp yoga is. It is when all the planets are lined up on a single side of the nodes of the moon. There's a very awkward axis line there between the south node and the north node in Pisces Virgo. Of course, the signs will also be, the nodes will be changing signs this year as well. That's something I will talk about as 2026 unfolds, so we know what to expect. However, what we're talking about here is the Kaal Sarp yoga. You can see all the planets, the visible planets I'm talking about, not the celestial planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Pluto is not forming part of the Kaal Sarp yoga, but Kaal Sarp yoga is always considered from the visible planets that you can see with the naked eye. Therefore, they correspond to the earthly reality that we experience. The celestial planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, we can't see without a telescope, and they correspond to the higher dimensions, the angelic realms, if you like, spiritual self, psychological self, things that cannot be seen in the earth dimension but do exist. Okay, that's the celestial planet. So we're talking about earth influential or third dimensionally influential planets. So you can see we've got Saturn, we have Jupiter, we have Mars, Sun, Mercury, and Venus all on a single side of the north and south node of the moon. That is a Kaal Sarp yoga. Now the moon, here we are, this is the moon. The moon does a complete cycle of the horoscope every month. So there will be 2 weeks of every month when the moon causes this Kaal Sarp yoga to not exist, because the moon will be moving between Virgo, Libra, let's say Libra, we're going to use whole sign here, between Libra all the way around to Aquarius. The moon will be doing us all a favor and keeping Kaal Sarp yoga at bay until it moves back into this area, Pisces to Virgo, and the Kaal Sarp yoga is formed again by the moon being in this side of the hemisphere of the chart that is where all the planets are, on one side of the nodes of the moon. So keep that in mind. Every time the moon moves across this hemisphere between Libra and Aquarius, you're going to actually be able to breathe out. Every time the moon is moving between Pisces and Virgo, during those dates that I gave you, we have a Kaal Sarp yoga forming. This is one of the major 3 influences upon humanity in 2026, as I spoke about. Neptune and Saturn at Gandanta degrees, Pluto spending half the year out of bounds, as I spoke about in last week's video, and the Kaal Sarp yoga. This is the 3rd thing. And I'm sharing this now, like I said, so that you can prepare for what might unfold and navigate the coming year with greater empowerment. Now, I do need to address something here. Look, in almost every video I produce, people ask me if I'm using Vedic or Western astrology. And if you find that important, please know that I have trained with teachers in both systems, and I adhere to the teachings of Ernst Wilhelm, who practices Vedic techniques with a tropical astrology chart. There are deep and powerful reasons why I have chosen to align myself with this method. Believe me, I'd be way more popular on YouTube if I practiced sidereal Vedic astrology. But I choose this path because I have seen that it works and its philosophy makes so much sense. Not because it will give me popularity, but because it's true. And if you want to understand the deeper whys and wherefores of tropical astrology versus sidereal astrology, then I recommend taking level 2 of my Royal Stars Academy. It's currently on sale for $250 off. It's called Intermediate Astrology, and it explores deeply how to make predictions. Predictions are so much fun. using many fabulous techniques and giving the astronomical reasons why those techniques actually work. Or if you might like to dive into the advanced astrology level, it also has $250 off up until the very end of the year, so get in while you can. And this is the chapter of the Royal Stars Academy, if you like, or the level of the Royal Stars Academy, where I explore the nodes of the moon in great depth, like super great depth. And I look at many astrological assessments and themes such as medical astrology, financial astrology, relationship astrology, karmic astrology, astrological yogas, and just like the one we're exploring today. So if you would like to learn more astrology, you know where to go. The link's at the description below. But back to what is happening in our skies. On March the 20th, Mercury will cross the north node of the moon here in Pisces. Now, just to explain, usually Venus, Mercury, and the Sun move together through the chart, but I'm just for explanation's sake showing you Mercury here. Mercury's going to cross the north node of the moon, boom, and enter into this section of the sky where all the planets are together on one side of the north node and south node of the moon, creating this much feared Kaal Sarp yoga. Basically, when we have a Kaal Sarp yoga, it is considered that planets become ineffective and they don't have the capacity to produce the good results we look for from these planets based on the full potential they can give. So humanity at this time is destined to go through a lot of ups and downs from the 20th of March until the 12th of July, when Venus is going to come to our rescue, and Venus is going to move across the south node of the moon and end the Kaal Sarp yoga by sitting in this hemisphere that is otherwise empty of the visible planets. Now, the term Kaal means time and Sarpa means serpent. So this is the time serpent. In Vedic astrology, the shadowy planets Rahu and Ketu represent the mouth and body of a serpent. It generally brings effects that can express in one of these ways, or maybe a couple of these ways. We can have delays in the workplace, or delays with various projects we're working on out in the world. We're writing a novel, we can't get the inspiration that we need. We're doing a series of artworks and nothing is inspiring us. So delays in the workplace, delays with various projects that we might be working on. There can be losses in business at this time. Keep that in mind between those dates that I gave you whenever the moon is in Pisces to Virgo. There can be struggles with mental health. I noticed that this year when we had in 2025, when we had the Kaal Sarp yoga going on, it was so hard to get mentally buoyant. And that's real struggle. Like I really had those who watch my channel regularly know I had issues with anxiety earlier this year during the Kaal Sarp yoga. Prepared and knowing that this is going to happen can help you be forearmed. Okay, I'm going to take a holiday during those dates. I'm going to have some time out. I'm going to go a bit slower and not put so much pressure on myself. I'm going to be kind to myself during those dates so that I am not so mentally burdened and weighed down. Keep that in mind. It will help you navigate 2026. There can also be issues with health and anxiety during Kaal Sarp yoga. Forewarned, forearmed, my friend. There can also be misunderstandings where you take things the wrong way, or you say something and other people take what you've said the wrong way. Very destructive when we misunderstand the intent and the purpose behind certain behaviors and statements, etc. And of course, because of this, there can be relationship friction when we have Kaal Sarp yoga unfolding. So these are just some of the effects. And of course, you can see it's impacting nearly every area of our life. Our health and well-being, our businesses, our relationships can all suffer during this time. But Kaal Sarp yoga does have some positive aspects as well. It depends on how it interacts with your natal chart, whether it's going to actually uplift you and give you some blessing. But it can, if it is interacting well with your natal chart, it can make us hardworking. It can make us more practical. We can be more interested in philosophy and spirituality and even astrology during this time. So it's worthwhile using that energy and jumping into your spiritual studies, or doing some philanthropy, doing some charity work, doing some philosophy studies, studying astrology. Make the most of this energy and use it to help you. Some people can actually find that they can reach greater heights as this yoga unfolds. Like I said, it all depends how it is interacting with your chart. It's not all doom and gloom, my friends. You may just be one of the people that this yoga uplifts in life. Fingers crossed that you are, if you're watching this video. Now, because all the planets are on what we call the right side of Cato, we need to be very careful of just staying in our comfort zone and ignoring this tremendous opportunity for spiritual growth. Even with Neptune and Saturn in Gandanta, which is all about spiritual progress and awakening, we can still struggle because we're like, I just want things to stay as they are. I'm comfortable with how things are. I don't want to change. That can be one of the issues that crops up during Kaal Sarp yoga. You might need to absolutely force yourself to take a risk, to make a change, to face your fears, to move beyond your comfort zone, and all for the purposes of your long-term well-being. Just know that if you do, if you can take the risk, if you can get out of your comfort zone and stick to it, you'll be able to move into some serious life success. But it's hard yakka to do so. You've got to be patient. You've got to be enduring. You've got to be stoic. We've got to push forward one step at a time during those dates, knowing that success for the efforts we're putting in may not arrive until after this Kaal Sarp yoga ends in July 2026, around the 12th. Keep these ideas, these concepts in mind because it will help you endure through the stuckness. Now, also keep in mind that Kaal Sarp yoga impacts global events. Countries, some of these global events can be that countries become quite ineffectual in what they're trying to achieve, and perhaps that's a good thing given who's running the show. The more we can keep Agenda 2030 at bay, the better off humanity is absolutely going to be. It can also feel, obviously, like I've just described, like a period of stuckness, but in a governmental sense, in a leadership sense, where policies and progress kind of get stymied and stalemated. I also kind of think in many cases that's probably a good thing, although there are some worthwhile policies that need to get up and get going. So just know that whatever kinds of policies are being put forward, etc., they can, run into the mud, so to speak, and move forward very slowly, if at all. People will become fed up with the leadership during this time. And that's not only because of Kaal Sarp yoga, that is because of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. All of this combined says that 2025 has laid the foundation for many government upheavals. For example, we actually saw one occur in Nepal's pathetic leadership getting ousted in 2025. That was in September, just after the end of the Kaal Sarp yoga finished. So the Kaal Sarp yoga laid the groundwork, and in September 2025, out went Nepal's leadership. Get ready for more of the same kind of events in other countries around the world in 2026. People have had a gutful and will start rising up against it. And a lot of this rising up against governmental overreach, etc., will come from the feelings that are laid down during Kaal Sarp yoga period. Now, also with Uranus in Gemini and Neptune and Saturn moving into Aries together, there might be some big pushes for war. Neptune and Saturn in the sign of war, and Uranus has a history of doing sort of some crazy stuff like that when he's in Gemini. But thanks to the Kaal Sarp yoga being in effect, these endeavors may actually be less likely to get off the ground in 2026. Thank God. Remember, it's a stuckness. It's people are fed up with the leadership telling them that they've got to go kill their sons in war. Fuck that. This is, in a way, very, very much a blessing upon humanity, given these other energies at play that may be trying to sort of force things in one direction. So thank God for the Kaal Sarp yoga. In 2019, I received a prophecy from a talented channeler who informed me that if the world could avoid large-scale war, not these little skirmishes and genocides and stuff, not that it's a little genocide, it's a big one, but if the world could avoid large-scale war by 2026, I'm assuming by the end of 2026, it wasn't specified, but if that could be the case, then the rise in consciousness and the vibrational level of humanity would be phenomenal, and we would go ahead in leaps and bounds, overthrowing the tyranny that has got its fingers into humanity so badly. We are almost there, my friends. We are almost in 2026, and just got to get through this next year if we can keep large-scale war at bay. I believe that because of that, or not just because of the prophecy, but all these things adding up, and I spoke about this last week in my video, I believe that we are almost at the beginning of a new bronze age. It is dawning for humanity. I'm excited by this. So let's join together, my friends, in keeping large-scale war at bay, however and wherever we can on the planet. Let's bring in the new Bronze Age that needs to be birthed, that is trying to be birthed right now, and I believe will be birthed thanks to the astrological energies forming, thanks to the protection of the minor grand trine, and actually thanks to this Kaal Sarp yoga that is forming. Who knew it could be so beneficial? Now, after this Kaal Sarp yoga forms, there won't be any more Kaal Sarp yogas for a few years. And as I said, if the world avoids large-scale war, humanity will be saved. We will enter into quite a profound time for humanity if we can get through 2026 and come out the other side with joy. So now that I've done all that, I want to thank you for listening, because it is profound, it is deep, it is cyclical, and it's important to know these things. So I thank you for listening to the introduction. It's very important. Let's look at how the Kaal Sarp yoga will be affecting each sign and going forward, and how we can best work with this energy between the 20th of March 2026 to the 12th of July 2026. A big time frame. Write it in your calendar. Let's go. We're going to start with Pisces. Pisces rising, because this is where the action is taking place. This is the destiny point. This is where Rahu is sitting. And of course, when Rahu is positioned in the first house and Ketu is in the seventh house, this yoga is formed in the lower hemisphere of the chart. All the planets, when the moon is down here between Pisces, Virgo, are going to be in the southern hemisphere of the chart. So what this means is, during this time, success is likely to come more slowly over that 3-month period, March to July. We're going to be in a state of observation of what is happening in the world around us. And, you might be inclined, Pisces, and I'm speaking to myself as much as anyone here, to try to bust our gut to make something happen, and nothing's happening. So I would encourage you, and just remind yourself of this when the time comes. Do what you need to do, and leave the rest to universal timing. Don't be trying to push the proverbial uphill if you can. We need to remember that, because we all went through Kaal Sarp yoga in 2025, and I didn't listen to my own advice. I was pushing so hard, and the anxiety and the frustration just washed over me and made it really difficult. The more that I can, and I encourage you to do so as well, can just rest in the stuckness that is present, doing what you can. Maybe you're going to design a new website. Well, you design the website, let it go. And if it doesn't shoot through the roof in success at that time, just know you've done all you can. The rest is at universal timing. And as this Kaal Sarp yoga finishes, you will then start to see the results, the good karma that comes from the work you've done during that time. So don't push it uphill would be my advice. Be careful also, Pisces, of the temptation to get involved in perhaps get-rich-quick schemes. I'm a bit susceptible to this. I daydream about get-rich-quick schemes all the time. But gambling, playing the stock market can be like people can go into that with the idea that it's going to be a get-rich-quick scheme for them. Buying too many raffle tickets, that kind of thing. This is a temptation with this energy. And unfortunately, during the Kaal Sarp yoga, sometimes in life this works, but during the Kaal Sarp yoga, the losses will outweigh the wins in these sorts of circumstances. So I just advise you, Pisces, use this period, March to July, to be very economical and frugal, to be sensible, and really make effort to live within your means. Maybe even start a rainy day savings account now in preparation for this period, so that you're going to have everything covered. It's not saying that you're going to have losses. This is not what this is saying, but it's saying that you need to have an attitude of maturity about finances and resources as the Kaal Sarp yoga plays out. Some of you Pisces people might have to wrangle with the law or the police. There might be frustrations in relationship. That could be coming from the anxiety that maybe might be present, or mental health issues, or all the things that Kaal Sarp yoga I spoke about earlier can bring about. There could also be personal health issues that crop up from March to July. So we need to care for ourselves, be kind to ourselves, be kind to our partners, and we need to just be stoic and enduring if we have run-ins with the police or the law, get pulled over for going 50 in a 45 zone or something like that, that kind of annoying, frustrating thing that can sometimes happen. We need to also keep in mind, Pisces, to time any entrepreneurism. That means, instigations of new ideas, new projects, new startups and that kind of thing. We need to time those things for when the moon is in Libra to Aquarius. Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius. If we do that, we can actually have more success with those new instigations and startups and entrepreneurial endeavors, etc. So watch the astrological clock, know where the planets are, because it's going to help you to get the most out of the energy. Now, my Pisces friends, if you're over 27, and I know the majority of people watching this video will be, the impacts can be a little less than it will be for people who are under 27. So what we might experience if we're over 27 is more gradual progress instead of difficulties, so it still feels heavy, it still feels somewhat stuck. We still need to be patient and enduring and stoic, but there can be little glimmers of hope along the way. That's if we're over 27. If we're under 27 watching this, then the outworking that I've just spoken about may be more predominant for you. Thank you, Pisces, and don't forget, I'm doing live readings now and pre-recorded readings to get you ready for whatever 2026 has in store. Head to the website, make your booking with me. Moving along, we're going to move now to Aries rising, Aries sun, and Aries moon people. Moving along now, we're going to move to Aquarius, Aquarius rising, Aquarius sun, or Aquarius moon people. Now you can see how the Kaal Sarp yoga is forming for Aquarius people. And the majority of planets are all down here, this axis. This yoga is formed when Rahu is in your second house and Ketu, the south node, is in the 8th house. So this is an energy that tells us we need to be very careful of our public reputation during March to July 2026. We need to be careful how we react to people and respond to people. We need to be careful with what we say and how we use our words during this time. Just a forewarned, forearmed, as Aquarius people, you might be more subject to rumors, defamations, gossip, and all that kind of nitty-natty kind of stuff that really can bring us down at a soul level. So forewarned, forearmed, if you find that that's happening in your life, you'll know where it's coming from. You'll know why it's happening, and sometimes that's enough to give us a bit of a mental rest. Oh, it's the Kaal Sarp yoga energy. I'm just going to try and let it be water off a duck's back. There can also be difficulties with your intimate love life. Remember the 8th house, which is forming part of this axis, the 8th house is the house of intimacy. So, if things go dry and stale in that area, remember it's a cycle. It's going to pass. March to July, it'll all be done and over with, okay? Try to be stoic and enduring and persevering. And approach any private moments that you have with your intimate others with care and with consciousness, with grace and compassion, okay? So it may not be you that's finding love life having difficulty. It could be that your partner is, and therefore because you're in it together, you might find that because of your partner's struggles, it's difficult for you. So care, compassion, and grace are necessary in relationships. You might also have a bit of a roller coaster ride with inheritances, wills, and financial issues. There could be a level of stuckness in those issues. This is a financial axis after all, Aquarius. So it doesn't mean poverty. It doesn't mean no money coming in, but it could mean if like you've been waiting on a windfall or an inheritance or a tax rebate or something like that, that something's holding it up. Something's keeping it from happening. That stuckness of the Kaal Sarp yoga until July. So persevere and endure, knowing that things will wrap up around July. Practice between March and July a conservative approach to spending and to saving during these months, and that will see you through the challenges of the Kaal Sarp yoga here. Also, and this is probably relevant to everybody, but particularly because this is a financial access for our beautiful Aquarian friends, we need to time any investments and savings implementations or big purchases for when the moon is moving between Libra, yes, that's right, and your sign Aquarius. Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Aquarius. Then you can go for it with regard to investments and big purchases, etc. But when the moon is between Pisces to Virgo, go easy. Rein in your horses, hold the horses, as they say. If you're over 33, these impacts are lessened a little. So you might see more gradual financial progress instead of difficulties, but it's not going to be big and out of the box, okay? All of us are going to need to be patient, enduring, and stoic, my beautiful Aquarian friends, during this season, but it may be less intense if we're older than 33. Now, don't forget, Aquarius, I am doing live readings and pre-recorded readings just to get you ready for 2026 and what it has in store for you personally with your chart. Head to the website, make your booking now. Thank you, Aquarius. And now moving on to another Saturn-ruled sign, Capricorn rising, sun or moon people. The energy of the Kaal Sarp yoga is running between the third house here, Pisces, to the ninth house, Virgo, and you can see all the planets filling out this hemisphere alone. We're not counting Pluto, of course. So this is happening between March to July 2026, March 20th, July 12th. So Rahu's in the third house, Keto's in the ninth. This can actually cause many domestic problems. Issues in the lives of maybe your siblings, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles might arise. So if you have good relationships with these people, check in, support them, help them out as best you can if they're going through a tough time. As I said, sometimes there can be domestic problems in your own life as well, but mostly we see this in the lives of those extended family members. Because of this yoga forming here in your chart, those people in your life might find that they have to work hard but are not getting the rewards that they deserve for their labors. So they may need support and help because they'll be working extra hard. Take them around a casserole to give them a hand. They're going to get home pretty darn worn out from work. And, if you've got a nice sausage hot pot or whatever sitting there, fantastic. They're going to love you forever. So that's one of the ways we can handle this energy. You might find if you run a small business of your own or a business that involves using your own talents and skills to make money, maybe you play a musical instrument and that's your source of income. That's a third house kind of expression. It's your talents that you've cultivated that you're now using for a living, that you might have to work extra hard as well to get the rewards that you desire from your efforts, okay? It also applies if you have a business that has to do with buying and selling of things. Buying and selling in trading is seen from the third house, and therefore it can also feel like that is stuck. It is struggling to get what it usually gets. So again, maybe saving up some money prior to the Kaal Sarp yoga would be a really good idea. So you've got some reserves to draw on to keep your business going and running and keep it afloat during this Kaal Sarp period. Okay, if you are dependent on marketing and advertising, or if your business affairs involve workshops or teaching, know that the Kaal Sarp yoga can give a bit of a dry patch to our beautiful Capricorn people. So forewarned, forearmed. If you want to time your marketing and advertising campaigns to get the best effect out of them, do that when the moon is between Libra to Aquarius. So Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius. When the moon is there, go for it. Advertise, market, buy, sell, run your workshop, do your teaching session during those periods, because the Kaal Sarp yoga will not be as strong. When the moon is here on this side of the chart, then you might find it's a particularly dry time. Forewarned, forearmed, this is very helpful knowledge to get the most out of this energy, this time period. So also it's a wise idea to have a little rainy day bank account. Perhaps you're putting $20 a week into it just now, or whatever you can afford into that rainy day bank account in preparation for the dry period that might come between March to July. Now, if you're over 36, my beautiful Capricorn friends, then the impacts of what I've just described are going to be a little less for you. And you might actually start to see little gradual bits of business progress over that period of time instead of the difficulties. It's not going to be anything out of the box. It's not going to be fireworks and rocket ships. It's just going to be little incremental growth, provided you are patient, enduring, and stoic. If you're under 36, then you are going to need to pay attention, because the full effect of what I've just described will be more likely to be felt. Now, don't forget, my Capricorn friends, I'm doing live readings and also pre-recorded readings, if that's what you prefer, just to get you ready for 2026 and what it has in store for your life. Head over to the website now and make your booking. I'd love to meet you online. Thank you, my beautiful friends, Capricorn. Now we're moving to Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun, and Sagittarius moon people. For Saggy friends, as you can see, we've got the north and south node of the moon running north to south here, from the MC to the IC, and all the planets are over here on this side, on the hemisphere of fate. So this is going to be in effect not this week if you're watching this video, but from 20th of March to the 12th of July. This is to forewarn you and forearm you to get the most out of this difficult period. Rahu, the north node, is in the 4th house, and Ketu is in the 10th. And this is the hemisphere, as I said, of fate. So there you might find, Saggy friends, that there are a lot of fated events unfolding for you now. Go with the flow, allow them to just unfold and take you where the current takes you. Fighting fate is a waste of effort and energy. You might as well just go wherever you're being led. Follow those fated events. Allow them to fruit in your life. Now, the other ways that you might be experiencing Kaal Sarp Dasha or Kaal Sarp Yoga are that there might be some obstacles or stuckness that you're experiencing with regard to real estate, property development, if you're trying to grow a garden, if you're farming, if you're doing some renovations, then this can be a difficult time, especially when the moon is between Pisces and Virgo running on this side of the horoscope, okay? That's when we can really experience those blockages with property and real estate, etc. Wealth creation can also prove somewhat problematic, get my words out, at this time as well. So it's harder to make the big bucks during those periods when the moon is between Pisces and Virgo during the 20th of March to the 12th of July 2026. Also, if we're involved in some sort of education, general education, we can experience some roadblocks during those periods as well. Difficulties, stuckness, not getting the results that we were hoping for, all that kind of thing. Sometimes also our professional life can suffer and we could encounter sort of financial losses. But financial losses that aren't coming from the business, financial losses due to family members or a problematic family situation might arise, and that can sort of drain the energy out of your business. Like say there's a difficult family situation and it takes you away time-wise from your business, from your career, whatever, and of course that proves a difficult juggle, or your professional life can suffer. So I'm not talking about losing a job. I'm not talking about, loss of income from a job, let's say, but there could be financial losses due to family members, or professional life might suffer due to family members. For example, somebody gets sick, they've got to go to hospital, you've got to pay money. You have financial loss and you're taken away from your career. So please don't feel like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job. That's not what it's saying. It's saying that there's going to be extra pressures and burdens in your life financially and professionally because of the situation with a family member. So worth keeping in mind so that you know when something like this arises, if it should, you're like, this is the Kaal Sarp yoga. I'm ready for this. I can deal with this. I've got the mental headspace to actually take this on stoically and enduringly, and that's what I can offer the world right now. I would suggest, because the fourth house being involved in this, the fourth house has to do with our mental health and general level of happiness. We need to guard our happiness, guard our mental health at this time. So have some strategies in store. What do you do that makes you happy? Do you like going for drives in the countryside or walks in nature? Do you like praying, and does it help lift your spirits? Do you like hanging out with loved ones and it really helps your energy to lift if you're hanging out with the people that you love and care about when it's all getting too much? Whatever strategies that you have that work for you when life feels heavy, have it ready to go. Have that in store. Okay, I've got some time here. I can get away for a weekend. I'm going to go out to the national park and just sit in the sunshine and absorb the beauty all around me. That's what I'm going to do to keep my mental health buoyant. Protect yourself by planning in advance. Protect yourself also from energy vampires everywhere, and they are everywhere, by honoring your needs, putting your needs first. My beautiful Sagittarius friends, retreating to private space when you need to. Otherwise, we find that these circumstances that Kaal Sarp Yoga brings into our life just drain our vitality. So having strategies, protecting our needs, putting ourselves first. Okay, no, I cannot be available this weekend. There are other people who can step in my place. I'm going to have the time out that I need, or else I'm just going to have a breakdown. So I'm taking time out. Honoring the self, putting the self first, keep that in mind between March and July. It's not that you don't care, it's not that you're not contributing to the situation, but it's very wise to honor the self and your mental health and happiness. Now also, my dear friends, time your renovations, your decorations, your building, your real estate sales and development, your gardening and farming endeavors for when the moon is moving between Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Aquarius. That is when Kaal Sarp Yoga dissipates, okay? When the moon is over here. Then the moon will move back into this hemisphere and the difficulties can be present. So if you need to sign a contract for a lease agreement, do it when the moon is on this side. If you need to plant some seeds, to grow a garden, do it when the moon is on this side, according to garden timing, do it at the full moon, preferably. Anyhow, we don't need to go into gardening astrology, though that is very fascinating. I talk about gardening astrology every single month for my Patreon family. But also decorating, renovating, etc. Time your renovations, time your decorations, time your building, time your farming endeavors for when the moon is on this side of the Kaal Sarp formation. You will do so much better. Now, Sagittarius, if you are over the age of 43, these impacts that I've just described might be a lot less. And instead of the full-on challenges that I've just spoken about, you might find that things are not quite that dire and that we actually experience more gradual progress in life instead of the difficulties that may present otherwise. And that is provided we bring that level of Saturn maturity to every situation. Patience, endurance, stoicism are all necessary during these times. Don't forget, my beautiful Sagittarius friends, that I am now doing live readings and pre-recorded readings, if you prefer that, to get you ready for 2026 and whatever's in store for you. So head to the website and make your booking. Thank you, Sagittarius. Okay, Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun, and Scorpio moon people. The energy of the Kaal Sarp yoga, you can see, is actually forming between Virgo and Pisces, which is your 5th house, 11th house axis. Rahu's in the 5th, Keto's in the 11th, and this is happening between March the 20th to the 12th of July when this forms and all the planets are on a single side of the hemisphere of the chart. Now, this could be, excuse me, a period when your luck might be a little low. It doesn't pay to take risks at this time. It's not a time for gambling. It's not a time for, putting yourself out there in a really sort of risky way, chucking in your job so that you can go and be a tap dancer. That is not the right move during this time, okay? Avoid taking risks wherever possible. Make decisions with more caution and consideration. Look before you leap at this time. Like I said, avoid gambling and anything that's sort of gambling like, stock exchange investments and all that sort of thing. Not a good period for that. The rewards we get for the efforts we're putting into life in general can be quite low. The 11th house is our rewards and gains, and the Kaal Sarp yoga is affecting that. And so we find that, maybe we've done a fabulous project and really put ourselves out there and it hasn't paid off. We haven't seen, the good remuneration that we hoped we'd get from launching this particular course or doing, whatever it happens to be. And if you're studying, you might experience during this time frame some disappointments with your results. You might also experience some career upheavals. However, because the 11th house is a house of blessing, in the long run, things can turn out okay if you simply persevere. So let's say you launch a course, it doesn't get any traction, and you've put so much time and energy and effort into it, and you're just like tumbleweeds, nobody's signing up. Persevere. Keep going. Know that after the Kaal Sarp yoga, there could be exactly what you're hoping for that comes into your life. But it's about being stoic and persevering through that period, 20th of March to the 12th of July, when things can be dry and crusty and nothing's happening. The blessing can eventually come. This is an Upachaya house involved here. Upachaya means with time. And so the blessing can come. It's a blessing house, the 11th house. It's an Upachaya house, but you must persevere with what you're putting forward. Some of you might feel a little unwell on and off. That could be mental health wise, or it could be physical health wise during this time between the 20th of March to the 12th of July. So feeling a little unwell during this time, that could be just like maybe you've got a tummy upset. I'm not talking about big dire things. I'm talking about, I ate the wrong curry last night for dinner and oh my God, haven't I suffered for it today? That kind of thing. You might be the victim of some sort of we would say secret enemies, of course, but it can indicate that maybe somebody's up to no good behind the scenes, poisoning our curry. No, not really. I'm joking about that. But, just doing something that is a bit undermining, that can also be an impact from this energy. So my friends, I would suggest, because the 5th house is involved, and the 5th house is the creative energy that we have to offer the world, time our creative endeavors, time our studies, time any romantic overtures that we're trying to make during March to July, time our visits to important sports games, time any career changes that we're trying to make in our life, to when the moon is in Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius, between March 20th to July 12th. If you do it during those times when the moon is here, the Kaal Sarp yoga is not in effect. When the moon is on this side of the horoscope, it is, and every effort you make will be a waste of time. So knowing where the moon is, knowing where the planets are, is quite important in 2026 if you want to get the best out of this year. Now, if you are over 48 years of age, you might find that the impacts I've just spoken about can be less, and you might, instead of the obstacles and difficulties I've just described, you might actually see incremental progress. It's not going to be rocket launches and fireworks. It's going to be, any progress will be very minimal and incremental, but it won't be like Tumbleweed City. Okay, that's provided that you are being very Saturnian, patient, enduring, persevering, and stoic. Friends, don't forget that I am now doing live readings and pre-recorded readings as well, if that's what you prefer, to get you ready for 2026. Head over to the website and make your booking. I'd love to meet you online. Thank you, Scorpio. And now, lovely Libras, Libra rising, Libra sun, Libra moon people. The energy of the Kaal Sarp yoga is forming between the 12th house and the 6th house, and you can see all the planets there in that particular hemisphere. This is going to be happening in 2026 between March the 20th and the 12th of July. There can be problems with domestic life when this forms. There can be maybe a lack of harmony in your home. Now, that doesn't mean that there's lots of fighting or, issues like that, volatility between family members. Sometimes it can, but it can be other things as well. Maybe you're moving home and everything's in disarray, lack of harmony in the home. Maybe, you're trying to do some events in your home, maybe, host a special dinner or something, and nothing goes smoothly. You burn the roast dinner. You're doing your best, but something goes wrong. These are what we're talking about in the home. This can happen throughout this period, not all the time, but on occasion throughout these months that I've just described. Do your best to flow with what is happening. You've burnt the roast beef. My God, what am I going to do? You know what? I'll just pop a pie in the oven, that have something up your sleeve, flow with whatever the situation is. Oh, sorry guys, no roast dinner tonight, but we've got a meat pie. That'll do. Hopefully it's a nice gourmet meat pie and not one of the terrible packet ones. Anyhow, flow with whatever happens domestically as best you can during this time. Just tackle each problem as it arises. Oh, there's the Kaal Sarp yoga again. Okay. Have some strategies also, my friends, to counteract any worry or anxiety or racing thoughts that you might have. Now, I'm a Libra moon, everybody knows that. I experienced some worry, some anxiety, some racing thoughts throughout 2025 when we had Kaal Sarp yoga. And so I just encourage you, having gone through that experience and not listened to my own advice, I am now prepared for 2026's Kaal Sarp yoga. I'm going to have some strategies in place that help me deal with worry. I'm going to take some time out, go for a walk, be kind to myself, not put as much pressure on myself, etc., etc., etc. Okay, have your strategies ready to help you deal with those mental issues. Now, at this time, it's a very interesting formation of Kaal Sarp yoga for Libra people, because some of you will actually have some success over your competitors, success over your enemies during this yoga. If you have enemies, sometimes we don't know that we do, or we, stay out of that kind of scene as much as possible and don't get too antsy with other people. But if you do have sort of people that you're competing against, maybe somebody who does what you do and they're doing it online, or they're running a business like yours or something like that, competitors, some people will actually have some success over those people. So that can be very beneficial for our Libra friends. Deceptions from extended family members, though, are possible with this combination of energy. So do your best to keep your karma clean at this time so that nothing will come back to haunt you. What I mean by that is, treat your family members with respect, but also honor yourself if something's going on in the family. But also enemies, competitors, same deal. Treat them with respect, but don't go there. I'm not involving myself with that. I'm going to handle things legally and businesslike so that my karma is clean. I've done the right thing, not flown off the handle like some sort of banshee. I've kept my karma clean. Do that and you will come out much better, my beautiful Libra friends, than otherwise. Also, we should time our 6th house, 12th house activities for when the moon is moving between Libra, your sign, Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn and Aquarius. That's when the Kaal Sarp yoga is not in formation during those months I've told you that this is forming. Then the moon moves back into this hemisphere and we're into Kaal Sarp yoga again. So time your spring cleaning, time your instigation of new life routines and healthcare, time your visits to healthcare professionals, time your holidays and retreats and escapes, time your visits to hospitals and any other sort of private kind of spaces, visits to hospitals, to prisons, ashrams and so forth. Time them for when the moon is in this side of the horoscope and you will actually have a very successful outcome from those things, because no Kaal Sarp yoga to cause that stuckness. Now, Libra, if you are over 54, the impacts may be less for you. You may not feel these things as intensely as I've just described. Instead, you might see more gradual progress in life. It's not going to be a rocket launch. It's not going to be fireworks. It's going to be incremental growth instead of difficulties. But that only comes if you are patient, enduring, and stoic, as I know so many of you Libran people are, because Saturn, the Lord of those qualities, is exalted in your sign. Also, I just want to let you in on a little secret, Libra. You are one of 2 signs that can have a lot of success in 2026 with love relationships. And that's based on the formation of Saturn and Jupiter aspecting your 7th house in 2026. So lucky Librans, you are one of 2 signs, as I said, where love can come your way, or if you are in a love relationship, it can be increased and enhanced. Just so you know. Okay, don't forget, Libra, that I am now doing live readings and pre-recorded readings just to get you ready for 2026 and what it has in store for you. So head on over to the website. I'd love to meet you online. Thank you, my precious Libras. Okay, moving along. Where are we at now? We're at Virgo rising, Virgo sun, Virgo moon people. Well, as you can see, Virgo, this is very significant for you because the South Node, as you're probably well aware, is in your 1st house of you, and the Rahu position, or the North Node position, is in the 7th house. And you can see all the planets for a period next year between 20th of March to the 12th of July are going to be in the upper hemisphere of the horoscope. They're above the horizon now. So what we need to do is be very wary during those dates about our public life and what we're putting out into the world at this time, because whatever we put out will come back to us. If it's good, it'll come back as a blessing. If it's ill, if it's gossip, if it's rude, if it's deceitful, if it's anything negative, it's going to come back to haunt us. Think twice before leaving that comment on that YouTube video. Think twice before spreading gossip. Think twice before making that Instagram post. What you do now between March 20th to the 12th of July could have long-ranging effects on your future. Now, dear lovely Virgo friends, romance can become a little bit difficult when the moon is transiting between the signs of Pisces and Virgo. So that's when the moon is moving here in this hemisphere, creating the Kaal Sarp yoga. Try not to stress if your idea for a date or even a discussion with a partner that you've got doesn't go according to plan or doesn't eventuate at this time. Instead, you can time, asking someone out for a date or having that important conversation with your lover when the moon is between Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Aquarius. That's a much better period to focus on romance. That's when the Kaal Sarp yoga isn't in activation. If you are awaiting some sort of ancestral property or receipt of some ancestral inheritance of some description, you might need to have a lot more perseverance than usual, because there could be some obstacles that are in the way, some blocks, some stuckness that is happening. One good thing, though, that comes with this, my beautiful Virgo friends, is that if you are interested in the occult, and I would dare say you are because you're watching this video, occult things include astrology, tarot, mysticism, etc. If you're interested in occult studies, philosophical studies, or spiritual topics, it's going to grow and increase for you over that particular period of the Kaal Sarp yoga. So it's an excellent time for Virgo people to pursue those things, because they will get more out of that research and studies than they usually would. You learn quicker, it all makes sense, the jigsaw puzzle pieces fall easily into place for you. So do go down that road if you have the chance. One thing to be very wary of, Virgo, though, is a desire that you will experience at this time to run away from the world. As a Pisces rising, I fully identify with that feeling. You may want to sort of have nothing to do with the world and turn your back on the world, to give things away that are precious to you. And then once we hit July, you're like, why did I give that away? Oh my God, now I wish I had it back. Or I ran away from my responsibilities in the world, or my leadership positions, or any particular hierarchical role that I had. And now I wish I could be in that place again. I'm so sorry that I did that. So try instead, Virgo people, to be, during those months that are coming up in 2026, to be stoic, to be enduring, to persevere, even if it feels heavy, even if it feels hard, even if you've had an absolute gutful. Look, I can relate to this. I've had a job outside of my astrology for the duration of 2025. And in those Kaal Sarp yoga periods, oh my God, I came so close to just, taking this job and chuck it. I had an absolute gutful of many, many things about it, but it was a good job. And it was my sensitivity and my inability to cope with the world out there that was causing the issues. So if I had have given it up, I would have absolutely regretted it. Thank God I practiced stoicism and endurance and got through those hairy up and down moments. So be wary of wanting to run away from the world and chuck in the towel, as we say, during those months, March to July. Time your important interactions with marriage partners, with business associates, with professionals and clients. Time your contract signing and your maybe your interaction with an audience in general for when the moon is, as I said, in Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius each month. You are going to get better results out of your life and out of those areas of your life during those days, okay, when the moon is in those signs. Now, Virgo, if you're over 60, not many people watch this who are, but those of you who are, hello out there, big hugs and love and kisses to you all. If you are over 60, the impacts of this Kaal Sarp yoga might be a little less. And you might see, instead of blockage and restriction in these areas, more gradual progress. But you need to be patient, you need to be enduring, you need to be stoic in order for that to happen, for the progress to come incrementally instead of enduring difficulties. So my dear Virgo friends, don't forget I am doing live readings as well as pre-recorded readings that can get you ready for 2026 and what it has in store for you, or looking at anything you wish to look at throughout the year in 2026. I'll see you at my website. Thank you, beautiful Virgos. Moving now to lovely Leo. Leo rising, Leo sun, Leo moon people. The axis of the nodes, as we are probably well aware, is running between the 2nd house to the 8th house. This is a financial axis. And during March 20th to July 12th, 2026, you can see we're going to have all these planets on a single side of the nodal axis. This is causing a Kaal Sarp yoga. So there's a few things we need to keep in mind. Our mental and physical well-being can be very affected by this combination. We could be feeling more paranoid, more obsessive, more melancholy, more irritable during this time. We can also have a real hunger and desire to speak out against injustices, but it causes us trouble. It causes us problems, and we wish we'd never spoken up. It's really hard to say that because I'm a big believer in free speech. One of the reasons that, just between you and I, Leo, I am looking forward to leaving Australia in 2026, but that's just between you and I. I do not like the direction of speech limitation that Commonwealth countries are heading for. But the desire, Leo, to speak out against injustices during Kaal Sarp yoga can be problematic. So if you do need to speak up, and I love it when we do share our thoughts and insights, do so when the moon is in Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius, not when the moon is in Pisces to Virgo signs. If you do it during those times, you will have more trouble. If you share your opinion and share your insights during the period of the moon in these signs, then you actually are not suffering from the Kaal Sarp yoga influence, and things can go reasonably well. Now, also Leo, you might find that during this time, you're working very hard. There's a lot of work to be done. Maybe you're working on a career, maybe you're working on a house or your marriage, maybe you're working on a business. and it might feel like you're just getting nowhere. Forewarned, forearmed, be persevering, be enduring, be, one foot in front of the other with that issue. There can be ups and downs also in financial matters and legal matters. This is because this is the axis of finance. Your resources are second house. Everybody else's resources are the eighth house. So, there can be some difficulties due to the Kaal Sarp yoga at this time. Generally, though, I would suggest that in the end, you'll get what you deserve, financially and materially and legally, but you will have to be enduring, Leo, and patient and persevering as you push through these weeks of the year. So we can time the speaking of our truth. We can time any bold steps we want to undertake to instigate a new life for ourselves. That's a very eighth house, turning life around 180 degrees. Time the taking of new, big change in life. Time the writing of wills, or generally dealing with other important financial documents and legal matters, to when the moon is moving between Libra and Aquarius, and you will get much better results at that time. Forewarned, forearmed, lovely Leos. Now, if you happen to be over 33 years of age, the impacts that I've just described here can be a lot less. And you might actually see more gradual progress in your life instead of the difficulties. That is provided that you are acting with patience, perseverance, endurance, and a lot of stoicism. I highly recommend living life that way, especially in the current world climate that we're currently in. All right, Leo, don't forget that I am now doing live readings as well as pre-recorded readings, if that's what you prefer, to get you ready for whatever 2026 has in store and beyond, my dear friends. So I'll see you at the website. Okay, Cancer. Cancer rising, Cancer sun, Cancer moon people. Now, I have to tell you a special secret, Cancer. You are one of only 2 precious signs that have some really good energy for love relationships this year in 2026. And that's because Saturn and Jupiter in Vedic astrology are aspecting your house of relationship. There's only one other sign that is having this, and I've told them this fabulous secret as well. So you might like to listen to the whole video and find out who the other sign is. But Cancer, you're one of them. So some good news there for Cancer people. It's looking up for relationships for you in 2026. But between the 20th of March to the 12th of July, we are having the formation of a Kaal Sarp yoga. And for you, it's happening because the North Node's in Pisces, South Node's in Virgo on the 3rd house, 9th house axis. And you can see all these planets filling in the hemisphere on one side of the nodes. That is the Kaal Sarp yoga. So you might find, beautiful Cancer friends, that you might have some troubles with business affairs during this time. And a lot of Cancer people are very involved in business and running their own businesses. They do great at running their own businesses because Cancer's so good at nurturing things, building things up from infancy to maturity. That's just a Cancer trait. They really excel at that. But there can be troubles with businesses that you have established and are nurturing into its fullness. So be aware of that. This season can be a bit like a dry dust bowl or tumbleweeds rolling by. Be forewarned, forearmed that, okay, it could be a dry time in business. So I'm going to be prepared. I'm telling you this well in advance so you can start saving up, putting some money aside, getting your affairs in order, being prepared as best you can for a dry time between March and July. You could also see in your own life some unexpected downfalls in power and position. Not necessarily you, but maybe your boss. Maybe your boss is involved in a scandal and comes unstuck. Maybe, some leader in a church, for example, that is part of your life in a position of power or prestige, might be involved in some scandal, or might be just being too dogmatic and they oust him from the church. This is the energy that we're talking about here. Unexpected downfalls from positions of power may be occurring around you during these months, these weeks. Frequently, this is the result of people being too dogmatic, not seeing the perspective of others, and generally taking a selfish disposition. I just encourage you, my Cancer friends, try and avoid being that way wherever you can, or else you might be the one falling from a position of grace. You might find that you have to fight for your rights, Cancer, in some way, shape or form during March to July. You're going to need to be persevering with such things and stoic and enduring with such things. If you give in and throw in the towel too quickly, you lose. So, this could be maybe a legal battle, but it might be in other realms of life as well, where I just encourage you, one foot after another, play everything by the rules, by the book, be businesslike, not personal, not emotional in your fight for your rights. And if you do that and persevere, you can actually have winning results after July. It is time for speaking your truth. It is time for standing up for your beliefs. It is time for planning changes to your business or changing career direction when the moon is in Libra to Aquarius during these weeks of Kaal Sarp yoga. So as I described in the intro piece to this video, when the moon is moving from Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn and Aquarius, go ahead with all those things I just described. They will be more likely to succeed and flourish and give you the results you're looking for at that time. When the moon is on this side of the horoscope, in these signs, forget it. Not worth the effort. You won't get the rewards that you're looking for. So my beautiful Cancer friends, if you happen to be over 36 years of age, the impacts of the Kaal Sarp yoga might be a little bit less in your life. And instead of the difficulties, you might see rather gradual, incremental progress in your life. It's not going to be a rocket launch into a miraculous outcome. It's going to be incremental progress. Keep that in mind. So don't forget, Cancer, that I am now doing live readings and pre-recorded readings to get you ready for 2026, or to look at anything you want to during 2026. I would love to meet you online. Head to the website, make your booking. Thank you, Cancer. Moving now to Gemini rising, Gemini sun and Gemini moon people. Well, if this is you, you can see that the Kaal Sarp yoga is forming in the hemisphere of free will. This is because Rahu and Ketu are on the 10th house, 4th house axis. From March 20th to July the 12th, all the planets are going to be on this side of the horoscope in the hemisphere of free will. So more than any other sign, Gemini, you probably have the chance to steer life where you want it to go at this time, because there's a lot of emphasis on your free will. However, it's not going to feel easy. It'll feel like pushing uphill. So you need stoicism, you need endurance, you need perseverance during this time to implement your free will. Okay? Keep that in mind. I would suggest, because this is the parental axis that the North and South Node are running on, that you make an effort to honor your father and mother at this time. And whenever I say that in a video, I always get some numpty commenting in the comment section, I hate my father and mother, or I don't have anything to do with them. Fine, fair enough. But is there somebody in your life who is like a father to you, is like a mother to you? That's who you need to be connecting with. That's who you need to be honoring. That's who you need to be supporting or checking in with at this time. This is symbolic of mother-father energy, whoever that may be. So I just want to encourage you, check in with whoever is that mother-father energy in your life. Honor them. If you are honoring that person, those people, it will help the challenges that are present in this period, this Kaal Sarp yoga, to be somewhat remedied. Remember, we're using Vedic astrology here, and they are big believers in honoring family as a karmic remedy, as a tool for getting the best out of life. You know, even the Bible says, honor your father and your mother, whoever symbolically they may be in your life. So because of this combination of energies, it is a good time to do so. As I said, because of the free will emphasis, you may actually achieve some level of success at this time. However, If it occurs, if you have some level of success during the time when the moon is either in Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, or Virgo, that success is unlikely to bring you happiness. You may feel like, well, that was, I lost more than I gained in that term, in going for that piece of success that I wanted or whatever. It doesn't bring happiness with the success. There can also be, during that time when the moon is in one of those signs, problems in your professional life or problems in your family life that mar your happiness, mar your joy. For example, you might have excessive interference from your family members during this time that just makes you feel miserable. And you're like, just leave me alone, give me space, let me breathe, That kind of thing is an example of what I'm talking about here. The joy is not there despite the success that you may encounter. Instead, my dear Gemini friends, I would suggest during this period of 2026, you time any career steps you want to make, you time any family interactions, including honoring your father and mother. You time your interactions also with authority figures in the world, bosses, people in governmental positions, authority people, etc., for whenever the moon is either in Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius. This means you're going to have to keep an eye on where the planets are between the 20th of March to the 12th of July. But that's a good habit to get into so that you can utilize the energy for your best advantage and make life work for you. Just encourage you on that score, Gemini. Now, Gemini, if you are over 42, the impacts of what I've just described might be a little bit less, instead of as difficult as what I've just described. So that's good if you're over 42, but that's provided that you are being patient and enduring and stoic about your life situations. Certainly the older we get, the more we do tap into those energies. Comes with wisdom a lot of times. Friends, I am doing live readings now with people one-on-one, as well as pre-recorded readings on any topic that you might be interested in, including what 2026 has in store for you. All you've got to do is head to the website and let's connect. Thank you, beautiful Gemini. All right, Taurus rising, Taurus sun, and Taurus moon people. Well, the energy, Taurus, of the Kaal Sarp yoga is forming because the North Node's in Pisces, your 11th house, and the South Node's in Virgo, the 5th house. What does this mean between 20th of March to 12th of July? Well, forewarned, forearmed, I'm telling you so you can prepare. Some of you Taurus people who are very good at remembering things because there's this stickability with Taurus energy, you might be a little bit disconcerted over this period because you might experience some memory loss during those weeks. You might be more vague, more absent-minded, more distracted than you usually are. Now, this can make it very difficult, obviously, if you're studying for exams or facing exams, or you need to memorize some sort of important information. So support yourself with whatever mechanisms will help you at this time. Whether that's, recording something onto your phone and then playing it over and over and over and over so that it's really ingrained in your mind. Get plenty of rest, get plenty of relaxation so you're not overwrought and burnt out at this time to help you with that experience of memory loss. Don't take these difficulties that you might experience in that regard too much to heart. Be kind to yourself. Recognize that this is just energy and it's going to pass after the 12th of July. And if you can, time any exams or reports you've got to write or any sort of any of the, I was going to say mental activities, but it's more like the mercurial type activities, writing, publishing, etc., etc. Time those for when the moon is in the good signs. I'll tell you when that is in just a second. This is also a signification for domestic challenges, especially to do with property growth, accumulation, and wealth. So there could be challenges there, delays there, restrictions and blockage in those areas of life as well. Forewarned, forearmed, if you know it's going to happen and you know it's just cyclical and you know it will end eventually, you can get through it. I would just encourage you, my beautiful Taurus friends, to check in with your children. They could be struggling during the months of March, April, May, June, July. Check in with them, honor them, and keep them at the forefront of your mind. If you're a parent, this is very important. Also, time your property purchases and contracts to do with property and land, or significant interactions with children, any exams, any studies, any social interactions, for when the moon is in Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius. Because as you can see, when the moon is in these signs, it's not a part of the Kaal Sarp yoga, and therefore the difficulties do not exist. But Kaal Sarp yoga forms when the moon moves on this side of the nodes, okay? So keep that in mind. You will need to keep a track of where the moon is by looking at some sort of online free astrological software, and then you'll know when to take steps in those areas. Also, my beautiful Taurus friends, if you're over the age of 48, you might find that the impacts I've just described will be less, and you might tend to see more gradual progress in life instead of the difficulties and challenges I've just described. But that will only happen if you are practicing the wisdom of age, basically patience, endurance, and stoicism in your life. If you're doing that, then you're not going to see as severe a blockage and restrictions and difficulties. So Taurus, don't forget that I am now doing live readings with people, which I love. And I also do pre-recorded readings for people who prefer that, to get you ready for whatever 2026 has in store, or if you've got any questions throughout the coming year. Don't forget, head to my website. I'd love to connect with you. Thank you, Taurus. And to finish us off in our round around the horoscope, we've got Aries, rising, sun, or moon people. You can see this Kaal Sarp yoga forming between the north node and the south node of the moon in your 12th house, 6th house, Aries, and then all the planets down here on a single side. This is the 12th and final yoga when Rahu, the north node, is in the 12th house and Ketu is in the 6th. It can mean that during the months of 20th of March to the 12th of July 2026, you might have some physical struggles, and they can play out on the mental plane as well. Your body might be struggling, and it might impact your mental health as well. So, take care of your body. Give it plenty of rest and relaxation. Don't stress it too much. Don't put too high expectations on yourself. Exercise in ways that feel comfortable and healthy, not extreme. All of those things are important. Eat good foods, hydrate well, look after your body, my beautiful Aries friends. Also, be wary of gossip during this time. Be wary of people doing the dirty behind your back now, trying to bring you down. What can you do about that? Probably not a lot, but knowing where it's coming from, it's a part of this Kaal Sarp yoga energy, will help you sort of, remain buoyant and not let it sort of depress you too much. Know that there are plenty of people out there who love you, Aries, who support you and believe in you. Connect with them. Have them not at your beck and call, but have them available to you when you suffer from people doing the dirty, This is a difficult placement, having a Kaal Sarp yoga on this axis, because no matter how you succeed, if you do succeed during this time, and it is possible to succeed during Kaal Sarp yoga, especially when the moon is on the opposite side to all the other planets, but can I just say it can be difficult, because even if you succeed, you will feel a level of disappointment. A level of, well, so what? Okay, I got what I wanted, but yeah, whatever. Life can feel blah. It can feel common. It can feel disappointing. And so, as Anne of Green Gables would have said, you might struggle with the depths of despair during this time. You must know that this is a possibility, and then you can prepare to wrangle with it, to deal with it in appropriate ways, okay? Time your periods for rest and relaxation, time your creative endeavors, time your exercise routines and your changes to your diet for when the moon is sitting in Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius, and you will get good results and success out of those endeavors, because Kaal Sarp yoga will not be in formation. So you need to keep an eye on some sort of astrological software and see where the moon is. And also make sure you have strategies for when you have those heavy times during those months in 2026 that I've just described. What strategies can you implement? Do you like taking a walk on the beach? Do you like going and sitting in a cafe, watching people come and go and just sipping your favorite chai latte, and you find peace in that? What is it that gives peace to you? I know, my beautiful Aries friends, when I was going through my divorce, which is one of the lowest periods of my life, what I would do, I would drop my kids at the bus stop, and then I would go to my little local cafe, and I'd have a cup of tea and probably a little lemon tart because I like that sort of treat. And I would just sit and read a book, watch people come and go for about an hour, and I found that I got my mental space that I needed. I found my feet again after rushing and being busy as a single mum raising 2 kids and grieving the end of a marriage at the same time. In doing so, I was able to get through that low period, because that's what floated my boat. What floats your boat? What works for you? What gives you that sense of upliftment? Have that ready in reserve, whatever it looks like, to help you through this Kaal Sarp yoga period. Now, my beautiful Aries friends, if you are over the age of 54, know that the impacts of the Kaal Sarp yoga that's forming here may be less. You might instead see more gradual progress, less mental problems, and less health issues. That is provided you are being patient and enduring and stoic with every facet of your life, okay? If you're suffering from mental health issues and, feeling low mentally, your patience and endurance with the situation will see you bounce back up more readily than people who are under 54 because of the nature of this particular yoga and the formation of this yoga. Don't forget, my beautiful Aries friends, that I am now doing live readings as well as pre-recorded readings to get you ready for 2026 and whatever it has in store for you, but also to prepare or to offer any answers to questions you might have throughout the year ahead. All you've got to do is head to the website and make your booking. I'd love to connect with you there. Make the world go away. Get it off my shoulders. Say the things you used to say and make the world go away.